James Namor, within his American film noir piece, states that it's easier to recognize a film noir rather than define the term, adding that nobody is sure whether the films in question constitute a period, genre, a cycle, a style, or even a phenomenon. I find that this description fits film noir perfectly and shows that despite the uncertainty surrounding film noir being a genre, its conventions can be used to create an experience decades later that helps separate it from what came beforehand. Now, the actual term film noir, according to Wikipedia, refers to stylish Hollywood crime dramas, particularly those that emphasize cynical attitudes and sexual motivations, the term coined by French film critic Nino Frank in 1946. Popular during the 1940s to 1950s, this style of film was infamous for playing off people's fears and anxiety of a post-World War II era, integrating the use of many gritty tropes such as the plague of private detectives and cops, the femme fatales, and frequent use of narration. Notable examples include Billy Wilder's Sunset Boulevard, Orson Welles' The Lady of Shanghai, and John Huston's The Maltese Falcon. While these films are often attributed to being relegated to the 40s and 50s, film noir is a genre that's branched off into many different forms of media over the years, thanks to a revival of the style called neo-noir, resulting in modern examples such as 2005's Sin City, or even the 2011 video game LA Noire, produced by Rockstar Games. However, the film I'll be covering today shows us an example of neo-noir like no other. Blade Runner, directed by Ridley Scott and released in 1982, focusing on the dystopian world of Los Angeles in 2019. While initially you could just pass it off as another science fiction movie, it actually implements many of the same aspects of the film noir style, which when combined with a sci-fi setting creates an interesting unique blend of the two genres called tech noir, an unlikely combination which proves any film made using the film noir style after the 40s and 50s aren't direct imitations. As a quote from the text pictured here states, the motifs in themselves do not contradict the film noir code, but rather they work in conjunction with more complex elements of character and theme in science fiction, which explains how Blade Runner goes about twisting these elements to its advantage as explained by the following points. Let's start with the main protagonist, Rick Deckard. Here we can see many parallels he shares with other film noir protagonists. Rick is a bad cop who is forcibly taken out of retirement in order to eliminate the 6 rogue replicants who are arriving on Earth. As the film progresses and Rick continues chasing after Roy's gang, Rick starts to question that, is what he is doing even morally right? The replicants, who are androids in the future, came to Earth just so they can find a way to increase their lifespan due to them having a set amount of years they can live for. Yet Deckard is denying them their goal because he's essentially being forced to kill them off by the police, creating this morally grey area which makes the audience question who's on the right and vice versa. It's this very situation and the resulting climax that goes to show just how well Blade Runner creates a downward spiral for Rick, but his interactions through all sorts of other characters such as Rachel, his partner Gaff and Roy, set him apart from the rest of the norm. During said climax of Rick's final fight with Roy, Rick is about to fall to his death due to missing a jump, and just as everything seems to be over, a surprise twist of fate happens as Roy saves Rick in the nick of time. And a choice at first, sure, until you realise that Roy was reaching the end of his lifespan. The evidence for what he said to Deckard really lies within the actual film itself, with Roy's Tears of the Rain monologue, in which he explains his views on life and him coming to terms with his death, stating that his moments will be lost in time, much like how rain washes things away, akin them to tears. His entire speech would help give Rick a new profound perspective on everything, while also humanizing Roy, who he thought at first was nothing more than a mindless slave meant to kill. However, this beautiful moment not only helps to humanize not only Roy, but Rick as well, as his new outlook would help him come to terms with what he's just done, giving the movie a powerful send-off in the process. Without this morally grey line that Blade Runner sits on, no one would be able to tell the unique spin it puts on Rick and his evolution as a character as a whole during the film. We can't talk film noir without mentioning the femme fatale. The femme fatale is a character archetype that usually depicts a mysterious and seductive woman who lures the main character into dangerous situations which only further serves to ruin the protagonist even more so. Here we can clearly see that Rachel fits that description perfectly. Originally an assistant to businessman Eldon Tyrell, Deckard early on discovers that Rachel is actually an experimental replicant, which sets up her main driver's character as she believes she's actually human. It's through this meaning that Rachel and Deckard start getting feelings for each other, as Rachel starts to find out that she wasn't a human at all. From what we're shown, we can assume that Rachel is simply seducing Deckard for her own personal gain, and only causes Deckard more harm. However, Rachel being a replicant helps reshape the character archetype as a whole. While Rachel and Deckard have feelings for one another, Rachel's drive to try and cope with the fact that whether her memories are real or not helps keep Deckard motivated, as his issues surrounding his moral compass aligns with Rachel's quest to discover herself. The two fit each other perfectly. Two people with complicated issues. One a cop who's questioning if he's doing the right thing, while Rachel is trying to find her true self. Rachel's problems don't lure Deckard into more dangerous situations, but help motivate Deckard to keep on fighting and give him something to protect, that being Rachel herself. This is best explained within Rebecca's Brahma's piece Futuristic Femme Fatales, as they say that while Rachel's beauty and passivity code her as a potential love interest, they assert that she also exhibits the femme characters of being cool and mysterious, saying that Deckard, and more importantly, the audience as well, don't yet know how to read her. An excellent twist to a cliche archetype which helps motivate the main character instead of outright ruining them. That once again, it is not a direct, pale imitation. Lastly, let's discuss the overall setting of Blade Runner and the techniques used that put a unique spin on film noir. Looking at the film as a whole, the world plays a huge part in giving the futuristic Los Angeles its film noir feel. Low-key lighting is used all throughout, which puts the world into shadow, highlighting the grim nature of Blade Runner and its story. The electronic, synth-like soundtrack, which accompanies the dim mood of both the world and Rick's situation. The rain, which also helps to symbolize the collisionist mood of this world. The narrative, in turn, which is very dark, as it deals with heavy topics such as corruption and what's morally right. Heck, even the theme of the blinds are prevalent within scenes featuring Rick's apartment, which are also a staple to this type of style. What helps complete these conventions, however, is the sci-fi aesthetic of everything. Everything is retweaked and adjusted in a way which helps fine-tune these elements to a T, repurposing each convention with something new while keeping it similar so that way it hasn't changed too much to the point where it becomes unrecognizable. It gives Blade Runner this unique feel that makes it stand apart compared to the other neo-noir films, thanks to the smart implication of tech noir and integrating it well not only into its story, but everything that went into making the film as a whole. Another fellow video essay produced by Lessons from the Screenplay on YouTube perfectly summarizes the world of Blade Runner by calling it unfair, going on to say that ultimately you're trapped. Whether it is a replicant fighting for freedom, which is describing Rory and his gang, or a human trying to do what you're told is right, describing Rick's situation, showing just how well Blade Runner constructed its world in order to expand on the dried out conventions of film noir, using the sci-fi aesthetic to make this even possible. In conclusion, while Blade Runner does indeed share and borrow elements from the film noir style, it combines them with the sci-fi genre, creating a very interesting take on film noir as a whole, showing that not all films in the film noir style that came after the 1940s and 1950s are direct imitations, but instead change the film noir tropes to match with the respective genre, creating a similar yet refreshing new outlook on this style of film without deviating too much from the main elements and conventions of film noir. I like to end off with this quote from Raymond Board's book, A Panorama of American Film Noir 1941 to 1953. In every sense of the word, a noir film is a film of death. While that holds true even for this film, the new spin that Blade Runner puts on these conventions help make it so the film isn't mainly about death, but instead decides to expand on these tropes in order to create something that isn't seen as a mere clone of what came beforehand.